what is your secret sauce to being successful as an herbal clinician? And what kind of advice do you have for those aspiring clinicians out there? What would you like to tell them about how to succeed in the way that is meaningful and realistic for them? So, secret sauce.
Okay, I could probably go on for just hours about this topic, so I'm going to try to be relatively concise. I think that the secret sauce to being successful as a clinical herbalist depends on how you define success, because there's so many different ways to do this work. It's really hard to say like, oh, there's one way, one thing that everybody should be aiming toward. What I do know helps with success, if you are defining success as being able to support yourself doing this work, or being able to support your community and be visible enough to be known in your community for this work in a way that people come to you, and however you want to define community. I think the secret sauce is to continue to show up even when things are hard. That is, I'm always telling people, this is one of the only unifying factors I have seen in people who continue to do this work even after 5, 10, 15 years. You look back at all the people who started and then the people who are still doing it 5, 10 or more years later. There's not one particular thing that makes people able to do that, other than that they just kept going. And part of that, it sounds so trite in some ways. It sounds so easy, like, oh, just keep doing it, this rah-rah cheerleader thing. But in reality, it's incredibly hard to do that, because there's so many times, especially in the beginning, when you feel like nothing is working, nothing is helping, nobody knows what you're doing, nobody knows what an herbalist is. It's hard to find your people. You gave a class and nobody came, or you did an herb walk and there was only 2 people there and one of them was really annoying and neither of them wanted to come and work with you. And you're not totally sure who your people are. And the doctor doesn't want to meet with you because they don't believe in herbs. There's so many things that happen along the way where it's discouraging and you feel alone and you feel like everybody else knows what they're doing and you don't, and you're not outgoing. And, there's all these things, these stories we tell ourselves, and the reasons that maybe I should do something else. Maybe I should go back and get another degree. Maybe I should get this other training or take this class on social media or whatever, and then I'll know how to do it. And in reality, you can absolutely get advice and support and mentorship and all these, there's lots of inputs and things you can do to bolster yourself. But in reality, when you are in practice, especially when you're in practice by yourself and it's a solo practice, it's just you, and you're the one who knows. You're the one who needs to take into consideration what's happening and just keep trying things. You need to iterate, and sometimes things aren't going to work, and that's the hardest part, is where you've tried something, you've put yourself out there, and it's just absolutely crickets. Or you're like, oh, I just don't know what to do. It's trusting in yourself and being open to, okay, what is something else I can try? How can I get creative? How can I get back in the saddle and just keep going? Because my intention here is to serve people. My intention is to do this work because I know how much good it can do for people. And I know there's people who want this type of healing. So I think that's really the secret sauce, is just like that little kernel of belief that you can do it, and then trusting yourself to know how to do it, even when it's not necessarily the right way, or it's not the same way everybody else has done it. Is that you just want to know that there isn't a right way, that everybody out there who you see that looks like, of course, this is what they did, they're following their own path, and you follow your own path. So it may overlap, it may go parallel to somebody else's, but a lot of the times you're going to need to take a little bit of a turn and do your own thing. And that's really, really hard. It's sort of like a leadership. It's a matter of leadership. It's a matter of trust. It's a matter of confidence. It's a matter of vision. There's so much inner work that goes into this that you would not even believe. You can't really understand it until you go through it. And just as a side note, I tell people that a lot of times that embarking on running your own practice, or any kind of business really, but your clinical practice in particular, it's kind of like parenting in some ways. And if you are not a parent, you can probably envision this, but you're pregnant, or maybe you're going through an adoption process, and there comes a moment when you have this very small infant, and then all of the professionals leave, and you're like, oh, you're just leaving me here with this small being, and I'm in charge of it. And you think you know what's going to happen, and there's just so many things that you don't know, and somehow you do it. that is kind of what running your business is like. You just have no idea until you do it. All of the challenges and the ups and the downs. It's not all these like beautiful pictures that you see on Instagram. There's so many moments where you're covered in vomit and, lying on the floor of the bathroom with this shrieking being at 2 a.m. and thinking like, what is going on here? There's lots of moments like that in your business as well. And so again, it's like nobody has the answer. Sometimes you just have to kind of like keep going and put one foot in for the other, and somehow it works out. But it's just like the wherewithal to keep going. Obviously, in parenting, you don't usually have a choice, but in your practice, a lot of times you do have a choice. And you can be like, you know what, this is really hard, and I think I'm going to put it aside, or I'm going to do something else. I'm going to distract myself, and that's when people sort of fall off a little bit. And that's when it's a good time to be surrounded by other people doing this work who can be like, oh, yes, it's very hard. Let's, keep going. You've got this. So anyway, I'm not sure that was a super enlightening or uplifting secret sauce, but I'm pretty sure that's the best I can do here.